I am Liz Donatelli. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance, the #1 romance novel talk show on YouTube. In today's episode, I chatted with romance author Karelia Stetz-Waters about her queer rom-com, Satisfaction Guaranteed, which centers around a failing sex toy shop. Karelia also talked about attending pleasure education classes and her search for a 3D model of a clitoris. Karelia also played sex toy or kitchen gadget. Enjoy, and be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Hi, Karelia. Welcome to Reader Seeks Romance.
Hey, it's great to be here. Thank you.
Congratulations on the release of your queer rom-com, Satisfaction Guaranteed, which has received a starred review from Publishers Weekly, and it was recently mentioned in the Washington Post, comedic romances to read this summer.
I was delighted. Yeah, that was really a great honor.
Do you feel validated, or do you feel more pressure when you receive praise?
I definitely feel validated. I am just loving this release. So many people are enjoying the book and writing to me, and it's in the Post. So no, actually, I feel great. In a nutshell, a sexually inexperienced woman inherits a failing sex toy store. Kate Elgin is 29, and she has been running her parents' famous art gallery in New York since forever, while they were off being eccentric and having adventures. And because of this, she's missed out on a lot in life, particularly dating and sex. So she's only had sex 6 times. She's never had an orgasm. And her aunt passes away, and she finds out that she has inherited half of her aunt's failing sex toy store. And the other half goes to Selena, who is kind of a daughter figure for the aunt. And the aunt was a mother figure for Selena. Selena is kind of like Kate's parents. She's a free spirit. She's also trying to get her life together. She thinks that she is a bit of a screw up, and she's actually vowed to be celibate until she has her life together. Kate does not want to run another family business. She'd be happy to let the sex toy store go to the bank, but Selena loved Ruth. She worked at the sex toy store. She's a sex educator. This is her dream, and it means so much to her to try to rescue this store. Satisfaction Guaranteed is the name of the store. And Kate is at heart just a very kind and responsible person. So she can't let Selena down and just throw in the towel. So she agrees to stay in Portland, where the store is, and they have 1 month to save the store from bankruptcy. And so it's opposites attract as they work together, and the attraction grows between them. They both are also living in Ruth's house, so kind of a forced proximity romance. Very sex positive, which I'm really proud of.
You open with a funeral, okay? Which in my opinion is the perfect establishing scene in a rom-com. What inspired your choice to open with a funeral?
Well, the humor, of course, is very obvious in that scene, because Kate is buttoned down and she's respectable and she's wearing a suit, and everybody else at the funeral is wearing gold lame. The organ is playing Bruno Mars. And then, of course, in that first scene, Selena gets up to give the eulogy, and she's so nervous that the first thing she says is, "I remember when Ruth named her clitoris Belinda." And so you see this through Kate's eyes, and she's just like, "Oh, my family." And so it was a great opportunity to capture Kate's responsibility and her sort of hands up in the air despair at how eccentric her family is. But then I really liked the part where Selena, who's wearing like a burlesque outfit and her cleavage is showing, and she's talking about Ruth's clitoris, but afterwards she goes up and she prays in front of the altar, and she's very reverent and she knows a lot of scripture. And I love people and characters who surprise us with their complexity, that she is both the burlesque wearing, clitoris talking woman who's up on stage, but then she's also very reverent. And I love that combination. And I love how Cade sees it and appreciates it in her and thinks in that moment, I bet other people don't appreciate this. I bet they don't see this about her. And so I love that moment because it really encapsulated the whole theme of the book, which is, it's about finding your true self and celebrating your true self. And it's about how when someone loves you and sees your beauty and your talent, then you can start seeing through their eyes and have that awakening.
Cade and Selena's differences allow them to fit so beautifully together. And even though they're different, I really enjoyed how they respect and admire each other. And it doesn't become a hostile situation. Because opposites attract, that trope is normally paired with enemies to lovers. Did you purposely set out to avoid writing enemies to lovers?
I have definitely enjoyed reading enemies to lovers romances. So, no criticism there. But for me, I always have an eye to whether or not I think these characters are actually setting themselves up for a long and happy relationship. My wife and I have been together for 22 years, and we have not fought. We've disagreed about things. We've had to work things out and talk things through, but we've never had what people would think of as a fight.
Really?
Which, some people need that. Some people need that energy, and it's totally fine for them. But for both of us, for our personalities, we're not. That would be really hard for us to be in a relationship where there was fighting. So when I'm writing my characters, I like to think about if they get married, if they're going to be like me and Faye and together for decades, does this romance set them up for a healthy relationship? And as much as I have definitely enjoyed enemies to lovers romances and hope people keep writing them, they're super fun. I read a lot of them and I think these two people are not actually going to have a healthy relationship. To have this much strife and this much anger, this early on, this much misunderstanding, in real life, that's not a promise of a long and healthy relationship. So I really want to write stories where you look at these characters and you think, yes, they're going to be happy, they're going to be healthy.
So what I love about romances is that the protagonists not only fall in love with each other, but they learn to love and accept themselves. My question to you as a writer is, which is the more challenging love story to write? The one between two lovers or the self-love story?
I think it's the self-love story because the romance exists in the plot. And plot is easier to grab a hold of. And the self-love story comes through in subtle changes in the way characters experience things and the way they think. And that is harder to do. In fact, in the work in progress I've got right now, I'm basically done, but I'm going through and I'm layering in those moments of self-discovery and awakening, and kind of, I like to think of this stage of editing like a soundboard at a theater, and you've got all the dials and the sound tech is adjusting like bass up, treble down a little. And so I think of this stage in the writing process like that. So I'm trying to enhance the self-confidence here and dial it back a little bit here. It takes a lot of finesse. I think it's quite challenging. So pleasure education class is a class that teaches people about some aspect of sex, usually related to enjoying sex. The first one I took was erotic blueprints. And that is I like personality types for sex.
Okay.
And so we started with taking a test to find out what our blueprint was. And then our teacher talked about different approaches. If two people have really different blueprints, then it may seem like they're not compatible sexually, but it's just a matter of learning what the partner wants, and then adjusting and that process of discovery. So that was really cool. Those were offered by a woman named Jessie Fresh here in Portland, and she gives classes online, so anyone could check out her Blueprints class. The second one I took was mind-melting erotic spanking. The class focused on the interplay of adrenaline and endorphins, and recommended a technique that involved spanking and then soft touch, alternating so as to build up those two in complement to each other. So not so much about a BDSM experience, although it could certainly be included in that, but this was really more focused on the physical. And Jessie Fresh, who gave that class, talked about how this technique actually helped her overcome chronic pain. So not only is it a really fun thing to do for me and probably for a lot of other people sexually, it also had that benefit for her, which I think is really cool, because I know how the chronic pain can really devastate people's lives.
I learned through your pre-interview that you enjoy collecting or creating clitoris-themed stuff. And I believe you're wearing something, a clitoris necklace.
Yes, I am wearing my clitoris necklace.
Oh, lovely, lovely. And where did you, how did you come to possess that necklace?
This is from Etsy. I also have a clitoris printed dress. Let's see here. I have
a dress, really? Oh.
Yes.
And what is that?
This is my 3D model. And actually, this is proof that the world is changing for the better in some ways. When I first wanted a clitoris model, because I was going to give a presentation at the Romance Writers of America conference, it was called A Lesbian's Guide to Straight Sex, and it was about writing clitoris sex scenes. So I wanted a model, and I actually couldn't find one. So actually, I got my first clitoris model, let's see here, from a friend of a friend, because I was at a party and possibly had a couple drinks, because it seemed appropriate at the moment to talk to total strangers about my search for the clitoris model. And one of the fellows was like, oh, we do 3D printing at my factory. I'll ask some of the guys I supervise to make you some clitorises. And then, a little while later, he brought me a little sandwich baggie full of clitorises. And they actually said they made them for hospitals or doctors, medical models. So they had a recipe for 3D printing a clitoris. But now you can get tons of clitoris models on Etsy and Amazon. So that is a beautiful thing.
That's an awesome story. All right, Karelia, what is this item on the screen? Is it a sex toy or a kitchen gadget?
I believe it is a kitchen gadget. I believe it is a lemon reamer.
Okay, I am very, very impressed. It is a citrus reamer or a lemon reamer. So yeah, you're off to a great start. What is this?
I believe that is something that is meant to suction onto the vulva.
You are good. You are correct. So far, you've got a 2 out of 2. What is this?
I am going for a vibrator of some sort.
That is correct. It is technically called vibrating Kegel balls. What is this?
I am going to go with, that is something that you put a sponge in, so it doesn't get, not a sponge inside a person, but like to hold your sponge on the counter so it doesn't get wet.
Well, you're correct that it is a kitchen gadget, but this is what it is. It's an egg yolk separator.
Oh, okay. I have never seen that before, but my wife hates separating eggs, so I might have to get her one of those.
And the last one, what is this?
I am, wow. Initially, I was going to say some kind of butt plug, but it seems to have a very sharp point at the end, which seems like that could be a bad idea. So, is it something to take the tops off strawberries?
You are amazing. It is a strawberry stem remover.
I got it.
Well, it has been such a pleasure and an honor to chat with you today, Karelia. Thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much. And thank you for listening to me talk about all my passions. So really appreciate it.
Anytime.